Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanavalabha Girivaradari Gopi Chanavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Prajaja Naranjana Yashodanandana Prajaja Naranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Prajaja Naranjana Yashodanandana Prajaja Naranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jam Vishnupad Pranamsa Pravartikacharya Shtutarashata Shri Srimad Srila Bhai Charanvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णवृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। ब्रह्म से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद सद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guruvanga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupada Krishna Prasthaputari Srimadhananda Swami Namine. Namo Vishnupada Krishna Prasthaputari Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram jiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya mudirayet. Nashta preshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata seva bhagavati uttama shloki bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, entitled Jai and Vijay Cursed by the Sages, Text 12. Tanme svabartur avasayam alakshamano Yushmat vyatikrama gatim pratipadya satyah Bhuyo mamantikamitam tadanugraho me Yatkalpatam achirato britayor vivasah. Tat, therefore, me, my, sva, bhartuhu, of their master, avasayam, the intention, alakshamano, not knowing, yushmat, against you, vyatikrama, offense, gatim, result, pratipadya, reaping, sadyah, immediately, bhuyah, again, mama, antikam, near me, itam, obtain, tat, that, anugraha, a favor, me, to me, yat, which, kalpatam, let it be arranged, achiratah, not long, britayoho, of these two servants, vivasah, exile. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki. These servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me if you order that, although reaping the fruit of their transgression, they may return to my presence soon, and the time of their exile from my abode may expire before long. Purport. From this statement, we can understand how anxious the Lord is to get his servitor back into Vaikuntha. This incident, therefore, proves that those who have once entered a Vaikuntha planet can never fall down. The case of Jaya and Vijaya is not a fall down, it is just an accident. The Lord is always anxious to get such devotees back again to the Vaikuntha planets as soon as possible. Hare Krishna. It is to be assumed that there is no possibility of a misunderstanding between the Lord and the devotees, but when there are discrepancies or disruptions between one devotee or another, one has to suffer the consequences, although that suffering is temporary. The Lord is so kind to his devotees that he took all the responsibility for the doorman's offense and requested the sages to give them facilities to return to Vaikuntha as soon as possible. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Khadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalaam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we continue reading about how four Kumaras cursed Jaya and Vijay and the Lord's response to their curse. And we can see how Lord is merciful towards everyone, in fact, towards Brahmanas who cursed innocent people, innocent devotees of the Lord, not just ordinary people, but Lord's personal servants. And we will see from their speaking, because they again speak here in this chapter, that they realized that these two personalities were faultless and they were awaiting Lord's punishment also. But the Lord is very merciful. But we can see, as we mentioned before, that because of this offense, they weren't able to enter Vaikuntha, and they returned back to material world. But the fall of Jaya and Vijay, as is explained here by Prabhupada, is not a fall down. It is just an accident, and those who have once entered a Vaikuntha planet can never fall down. And that this was, in fact, Prabhupada mentions in other places, just Lord's Leela, because Lord wanted to have to exhibit his fighting spirit in material world, because he has no opponent in the spiritual world. So he somehow or other have has to bring down devotees from spiritual world to have someone who is at least a little bit match for him uh, in this world. So he meets different purposes at the same time. He does this every time, in fact. Uh, with one move, he makes different things happening. For example, here he fulfills the curse of the Brahmanas. This is one purpose. And then the other purpose is to fulfill his desire to fight with someone in this material world. And then the third purpose is that Jai and Vijay apparently offended Lakshmi Devi once when she was out of the palace, and then she wanted to go to Lord Vishnu, but he was sleeping, and so Jai and Vijay stopped her, stopped Lakshmi Devi, and she was extremely angry at them. And she also cursed them. So the Lord fulfilled also this Lakshmi's anger at Jai and Vijay. So many purposes were fulfilled by this. And also in our life, we can see, if we are a little bit introspective, that sometimes something happens that looks good or bad, but it fulfills usually many purposes by one move. For example, I lost my job in 8 years ago or something, and I really hated my job for several years. And I was wondering, how can I get another job or something, or quit this job somehow or other, because the relationships weren't so good at this job. But I was afraid to just quit, because how can I support my family if I just quit? But then Krishna helped me. Krishna somehow or other helped me. And then many other opportunities opened that I didn't see before. So Krishna fulfills desires in most astonishing ways. So we should be careful what we desire. And I believe that you also have such different experiences, how Krishna fulfills devotees' desires and accomplishes many things by one move. Other thing that I would like to mention here, because we can see that here Kumaras, as we pointed out in our previous classes, they weren't acting according to Brahmanas' qualities. They were in fact angry, intolerant, impatient, and not merciful. That are qualities against Brahmana qualities, in fact. And we can see another lila when Krishna is always trying to rectify such brahmanas that they don't follow brahminical qualities, in fact. Other lila is from 10th canto, when Krishna ordered his cowherd boyfriends to go back from the brahmanas, yagi brahmanas, to get some food. And just before he asked them to go to these brahmanas, he was glorifying trees because trees were fully laden with fruits. And he said something very important, very important verse. And he said, Etava janma safalyam dihinamiha dihishu pranar artardya vacha shreya acharanam sada. And that means that one should devote his life, words, intelligence, everything for the benefit of others. As these trees, he gave example of these trees. The trees are giving them fruits, giving them wood, giving them shelter, giving them shade, everything they do just for others. Ordinary trees, we consider usually that the trees have sinful life before, that they appeared in this form because of their sins, previous sins. But then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in the purport that Krishna points out that even trees are better than brahmanas who don't work for the benefit of others. And then the Lord taught us with this lila, because he sent cowherd boys to ask brahmanas to give some food, and he ordered them because he knew that these brahmanas were materialistic in their consciousness, that he said, and you should say to them that you were sent by Balaram, because Balaram was kshatriya, and so they may consider that the kshatriya is appropriate to be given food, but not Krishna, who was Vaishya, according to their understanding. So they came there and asked brahmanas to give them some food, but they didn't answer. Not yes, not no, nothing. And then and boys were glorifying them as earthly gods. They said to them that they are earthly gods. And then because they saw that they didn't reply, they were explaining them some details of yagya to them who were performing yagya, who were yagya brahmanas, that if the animal is already killed in the yagya, then food can be distributed, especially to those who are hungry, and we are hungry. And except in some special yagya, Sautramani. So apparently the animal was already killed, and so they were entitled to get some food, but brahmanas didn't reply at all. So the boys came back completely disappointed, but Krishna just laughed, and he instructed them that this is very good, because one should learn to be rejected. When he begs for something, he will be many times rejected. And then we can also see ourselves when we go in the streets and distribute books, for example. We are many times rejected. Even if we distribute prasad, we are rejected sometimes, isn't it? So, not to ask from them nothing, but we would like to give them, but you're still rejected. So, um, we should learn to tolerate this rejection from people. And then the Lord sent them to the wives of Yagya Brahmanas. And the wives, of course, were devotees, and they collected a lot of this tasty food prepared for Yagya and just brought it to Krishna. And they were stopped by their husbands. They tried to stop them, but they couldn't. And this was extreme transgression of their culture. If the wife goes in the forest to some other man, she's expelled or even killed by her husband. But they weren't afraid of being even killed by their husbands. They just went because they had so much devotion to Krishna. And then, of course, they were very happily give this food to Krishna and cowherd boys, and just wanted to stay with Krishna. They didn't mind, even if Krishna doesn't want to play with them, Rasa Lila or something, because he was explaining that there are Brahmana wives and his cowherd boy, so doesn't match. They don't match, and they were ready to just be in the forest and be with Krishna at distance, but he sent them back. But they said that they will kill us because we transgressed every code of morality and ethics. But he said that they will. Krishna said that they will accept you back, and even demigods will approve your action. So we can see the difference between some ritualistic performance of spirituality and real devotion. And this is really important to understand for us, because this ritualistic performance of spiritual life will not bring us anything. In fact, we will reject Krishna. So if we chant just because of duty, or we go to Mangalarati just because of duty, or we do anything because of just because of duty, or because we are supposed to do it because of some social pressure, we will miss the point. At some time we will reject Krishna. Unknowingly, of course. And when the wives of Yagya Brahmanas came back to their village, they accepted them back as Krishna predicted. And also the demigods gave their approval. And so, and then Yagya Brahmanas saw that they were completely in love with Supreme Personality of Godhead. They realized that Krishna is in fact Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that they used their life completely in vain, uselessly. They performed every religious practice completely without any purpose, in fact. And they were lamenting very terribly because they were, and they condemned themselves to hell with our knowledge, to hell with our brahmacharya, living in the ashram with our guru, to hell all of this because we didn't recognize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the opportunity was, of course, for them to go to Krishna, like their wives. But they didn't. And why they didn't?
Because they were afraid of Kamsa.
They were afraid of Kamsa. Because Kamsa had many spies in different places. And they're afraid if we go to Krishna, Kamsa might kill us. But the wives weren't afraid of being killed. So this is the difference between pure devotee and not pure devotee. And why because this was some area between Mathura and Vrindavan. It was not Vrindavan, in fact. And they have never seen Krishna before, even these wives. But why they were devotees and their husbands not?
They had association with the gopis.
No.
Collecting flowers at the same place or something.
Sorry?
They heard about Krishna from someone.
Yes, they heard about Krishna. They were hearing about Krishna. Shravanam. They were performing devotional service by hearing. So hearing is extremely important. They were hearing from these fruit vendors. Because fruit vendors went to Vraj to sell fruits to Vrajvasis. Like this fruit vendor, famous one, that Krishna wanted to buy some fruits, and he grabbed some grains and running there, and only few grains remained in his small palm. And such fruit vendors were speaking about Krishna to these yogic brahmanas, especially wives of yogic brahmanas, of course. And they were hearing about Krishna, so they developed love for Krishna. So it's so important to hear about Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore it is said, Nashta preshva bhadrshu nityam bhagavata seva bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. That just by serving Srimad Bhagavatam, by hearing, and shushushruksha dadanasya, that we hear with faith, and Srimad Svakatah Krishna, that we always is stressed this hearing, and is explained by acharyas that hearing is the first and most important thing in devotional service, because without hearing we'll never chant Lord's holy names. And also when we chant Lord's holy names, we also hear. Without hearing the names when we chant, it's an offense, in fact, because we are not focused on the name. We have thoughts elsewhere. So this is very important thing to know. Even they accepted their wives, these yogic brahmanas, as their gurus. In fact, they didn't consider them their wives anymore. They considered them their gurus, because they saw that their wives had pure love of Krishna, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, but because of this ritualistic mentality of lack of pure devotion, and they were afraid to go to Krishna. So we also should examine our heart if we are afraid to go to Krishna. For example, if someone would say, are you prepared now to go at this moment? And maybe we would say, I have just these things to do. But gopis dropped everything at the very moment. They had some cake in the oven, and they just left it there. They didn't take it out. They were breastfeeding their babies. They just put them down. They were serving their husbands and their in-laws, and they just dropped everything from their heads and just ran to Krishna. Yes. Are we prepared like this now to just go? So we should examine our heart, and if we are not prepared to just go, we should cry to get this determination and devotion and love for Krishna that the gopis exhibited. And also these yogic brahmana, wives of yogic brahmanas, they also just left everything. And they fainted first when they heard that Krishna is hungry and waiting for some food, and asking for some food. And they were condemning their fainting of ecstasy because they couldn't immediately just ran to Krishna. And the third lila I would like to, or second, I would like to mention about Brahmanas is from Lord Chaitanya's lila, when Lord Chaitanya married Vishnupriya. And at that time, you may remember, of course, when there is a marriage ceremony or even before, then there is giving gifts to the guests, and especially to Brahmanas, of course. And Lord Chaitanya ordered to those who were giving gifts that every Brahmana should get gifts 3 times. Not just 1 time, because he expected that many of these Brahmanas won't be satisfied with just 1 gift, and they will cheat and come in different dress to get another present. So, and if other people will see that the Brahmanas are cheating, they will criticize them, and this will, of course, will not be good for people. So he ordered that every Brahmana should get presents 3 times, and so that they will be completely satisfied and they will not cheat. And so it was really happened like this. They gave them 3 times presents, and they were so satisfied that they didn't cheat. So it's so important that Brahmanas are keeping their respect in society, because whole society will degrade if they criticize Brahmanas. And Brahmanas, of course, should be beyond criticism in their behavior, not just because they are Brahmanas, but they should behave like this. Lord Chaitanya knew that they have this cheating mentality, in fact, and therefore he tried to satisfy them in such a way that everyone will be happy, that they will not exhibit this cheating mentality. And this is really important for us to understand, also the teachings of Rupa Goswami. In Upadeshamrita, in the second verse, explain what are the detrimental traits or features that we should avoid very much in our devotional life. And he says, Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha jana sangarshaloliam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashati. And these 6 items destroy our devotional service, destroy our bhakti. And this atyahara means eating too much or over collecting. And this is really a detrimental item, because if we overeat or over collect things, that means that we are on a completely unbodily level of existence. And because we can know that this eating should be, just as Prabhupada says, to keep body and soul together. Just to have healthy life, in fact. That doesn't mean that we should starve to be completely emaciated, like this Brahmana, Sudama Brahmana, Sudama Vipra, from who visited Krishna because his wife couldn't give him anything to eat. But that means that we should eat as much as we need for healthy living, and also healthy food to have, but not more. And we can check this if we have too much fat. That means that we eat too much. And over collecting also. We shouldn't collect things just to be, because if we lack faith in Krishna, we feel insecurity all the time. So we think that things of this world will save us somehow or other, will give us some security. But these things will not give us security. In fact, and they will help us to sink in material ocean. Yes, it is explained that big crown on the head helps you to drown faster. Yes. So, atyahara, we should avoid over collecting or overeating very much. Prayasa is over endeavoring. So we shouldn't over endeavor for material things, for material accomplishments, or even it is explained by Rupa Goswami also in 64 items of devotional service. Even performing different festivals, two big festivals, or building temples too much is also not conducive for our devotional service. So we should focus on Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam primarily. And if something is obstructing our Shravanam and Kirtanam, that means it is too much endeavor for something else. Even if we build temples or we perform big festivals for Lord's pleasure even. But if this is obstructive for our Krishna consciousness, it should be avoided. Then it is prajalpa. Prajalpa is very detrimental for our spiritual life. Basically, it means criticizing others. And it is so ingrained in our consciousness, this criticizing of others, that hardly anyone can avoid it. For example, there was some bishop in South America, and he, because gossiping is also considered as sin in Christianity, but it's so common among people, this gossip, that he said that it shouldn't be considered sin because no one can avoid it. Can you imagine? He protested against this gossiping to be considered a sin. So we should know that this gossiping is extremely deep in our heart because of this envy of others. And because we envy others, we considered their existence and their action to somehow or other is not conducive for my existence. That means for my glory and for what I want to achieve in this world and so on. But instead of criticizing others, we should devote ourselves to Shravanam and Kirtanam. So if we have time to criticize others, that means that we don't have time for Shravanam and Kirtanam. Because during this time, we can think of Krishna, but we don't. We think of others, and we think of others' faults, or so-called faults. So when we catch ourselves, because this is very difficult to uproot, this tendency, when we catch ourselves that we are thinking of others' faults, we should just try to divert our thoughts to Krishna, to chanting. Yes, and to understand how important it is, this instruction of Lord Chaitanya, Tridanta Pisanichna, Toro Rivasa Hishnana, Amarina Mana Dina, Kirtana Sadahari. On Saturday, we heard this reading of different personalities that knew Prabhupada. And what I wanted to say just slipped from my mind immediately.
The formula.
Yes, exactly. You remember better than I do. Prabhupada mentioned the formula to this Dr. Kapoor. In fact, he asked him about the formula. You achieved this prema bhakti. Please tell me, because Prabhupada was a chemist, and he invented different formulas, and he also made his own tonic for brain functioning, and he gave this Dr. Kapoor this tonic for before exams on the university, and later on this Dr. Kapoor said that this tonic was really good. He used it and it was good. And then he asked Prabhupada for formula to achieve prema bhakti, and to invent formula. And he said that he knows formula for prema bhakti, but he should apply it also. And this was Trinada Pisnichna, Tururivasishtana, Amani Namana Dina Kirtina Siddhahari. That we should be more humble than the straw in the street, and more tolerant than a tree, and not expecting any respect for ourselves, but be prepared to offer all respects to others. So this is extremely important, and Prajalpa is just the opposite. It's trying to be the Lord of everyone, and envy because we are not, and anger because we are not. Because we can check this. If someone or something annoys us, this is expression of our envy, of our inability to lord it over. Because if something is annoying us, that means that we have no power over it. And we want to be lord of everything, but if we have no control over it, it annoys us. Yes. So we can check if anything annoys us. That means that we want to be Krishna, in fact. And then it's Niyamagraha. Niyamagraha, of course, is either not following rules, just whimsically following rules, or just following rules for the rules' sake, not for any higher purpose. And both is detrimental for our devotional service. So we should know what to follow and what not to follow, and when to follow, and when not to follow. And we should always keep in our mind service to Guru and Krishna and Vaishnavas. This is the proper attitude to perform any devotional service, in fact. Yes, not just rules. Rules are all rules and prohibitions are just servants of one rule and one prohibition. And what is this?
Always remember Krishna.
Yes, exactly. Smartavek satatam Vishnur vismartave najatujit sarve vidi nishedaksur etar eva kinkara. So the all commandments and prohibitions are just to support these two, one commandment and one prohibition, to always remember Krishna and never forget him. And then is Jana Sangha, association with worldly people. Yes, this is also extremely detrimental for our bhakti, because these non-devotees will pollute our mind with their desires. Everyone has desires, and we also are in material world just because of material desires, and not for anything else, in fact. So if we keep company of materialists, we'll definitely revive at least our material desires. But this keeping company of materialists doesn't mean only physical proximity of someone who is not a devotee, but also following them online and listening to their speaking and following what they do and anything like this. We think that just going together, hanging out together with materialists, this is Jana Sangha. No. It's also online Jana Sangha. and it's all pervading now. You switch on your phone, there is jhana sangha immediately, especially if you go to some YouTubes, um, uh, Facebooks, Instagrams, TikToks. It's just jhana sangha jumping out from every corner, and it's even more detrimental than usual jhana sangha, physical jhana sangha. Yes. So we should avoid this, and it's very difficult to avoid in this age. but uh, but it's extremely important for our devotional service. It will completely pollute our mind, and we can test ourselves. If we just live normally with all these messages from our phones, and we check our chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and if these impressions from this media will come to our mind during chanting, that means we are polluted with jhana sangha. Most definitely. And then is slowly, and this is greed. Greed. Yes, greed is also detrimental for our devotional service, because we want to have, and this is also to secure our existence, in fact, to have more and more, to have more power, more things, more everything. Yes. This is because we want to be lords, and because we are afraid of losing our existence. Both things. Okay. And of course, we should know that devotees should be beyond Brahmanas. We shouldn't be, we shouldn't, our focus shouldn't be Brahminical culture. Our focus should be Vaisnava culture. Yes. And it's many times explained by Shastras and Acharyas, Prabhupada, that Vaishnavas are beyond Brahmanas. But they act in the mode of goodness, because we have bodies, and bodies are made from modes of gunas. And that means that we should act in some modes. Our body cannot do anything without modes. It's explained in third chapter of Bhagavad-gita. Prakriti kriyamana niguna karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. That only fool thinks that he is doing anything by himself. Everything is done by the modes through the body. So we should act in the mode of goodness, but we should have consciousness beyond mode of goodness in the transcendental platform. So we should follow in outwardly these Brahminical qualities, but in our heart we should serve Krishna always, and of course also on outside we serve Krishna in every regard. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Have any questions or comments? Yes, please.
If you're polluted by jana sangha while chanting because of whatever you've seen on your phone, so how do you get rid of that?
Just to switch off your jana sangha, and there is one example. If you have a pond of water which is contaminated, or some reservoir of water which is contaminated, you should just pour pure water inside, and the water itself will remove these impurities, and then it will be pure. So if we stop pouring dirt in our consciousness by jhana sangha, then this pure, and fill it with pure Krishna consciousness, with chanting and hearing, then this will push out our impurities from our consciousness and replace it with Krishna, gradually, but surely. But if we continue, then we can never purify our consciousness. So this jhana sangha is really one of the most terrible problems in this age for devotees, I believe. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Do you have any question? You took notes?
Writing down what was important. Yeah, so when the gatekeepers Jai and Vijay, they were came in contact with the Fulfils, because they so only they can come in contact with the material or someone from the material world, not like someone inside the
Vaikuntha?
in Vaikuntha. They're not exposed to anyone like so. Is that also
Jhana sangha?
like that? There wasn't the Fukumas weren't they weren't they were devotees.
Not at the time when they cursed. This is very interesting because Jai and Vijay kept jhana sangha. They fall from spiritual world because of associating with materialists for Kumaras. This is very good. Thank you. They're supposed to be Brahman realized sages, but they were not. They were vimukta maninas. They were. They thought they're liberated, but they were not, because they were in their bodily consciousness. Because one can become angry because something is wrong with his body. Because if they were just on spiritual level, they wouldn't become angry. Because everything is one. They are one with Jai and Vijay. If they are Brahman realized, why would become angry? So, yes, this is very interesting thought. But this was their service to be doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, that they prevent anyone who is not suitable to come to the spiritual world. So this was not jhana sangha, because they were performing their duty. So even if we perform our duties in this world, we have our job, which is apparently material, and there are people who are materialists. But if we don't keep their association, and their association means that we engage in some intimate relationship with them, some heart-to-heart relationship. We, of course, should try to help them to come to spiritual level, but if we don't have this power, we just leave their company alone, just business, strictly business and nothing else. Then it's performing our service and it will not pollute our mind and consciousness. So they were just performing their duty, and therefore they were not polluted by this. You wanted to ask? Already answered?
I was going to say that everything is Krishna's cause, because when the four Kumaras went to the gate, it was planned. It was planned to test Jai and Vijay, and they failed. And then that's why they took all the births of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. And then, so it's interesting how there is always a reason. It doesn't just happen out of.
Yes, we explained different aspects of this curse, even in our previous classes. In fact, they were performing their duties, and Jai and Vijay, they didn't commit any mistake, in fact. They cursed, these four Kumaras cursed Jai and Vijay because they were not on transcendental platform. And when Lord came running there to pacify them, he was glorifying them. But if we see from Lord's glorifying the Brahmanas, he was extremely mildly chastised them. And then later on, we will see in the same chapter, they understood that they cursed innocent people, and they were awaiting Lord's punishment. But of course, Lord is very merciful. He doesn't punish anyone, in fact. And his punishment also is blessing, in fact, even.
May I add one more thing?
Yes.
Also, when I was studying years ago, the Jana Sangha thing, there was a bit of a paranoia of avoiding people, and sometimes that comes across offensive, because it's not the person, it's the activities and it's the behavior. So we should lure politely, worldly people away from the mundanity, so that, because they also have super soul and soul in them. They're not different. All they have to do is follow the four regulated principles, chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, and then they're just like us.
Yes.
Their activities are polluted. So I feel like Jana Sangha is a circle. It's not necessarily the person. I feel like we should give association. That is what I was advised to do. Never take association. Go give association and then come back. And then when we come back, they follow.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for mentioning this, because Jana Sangha is, of course, associating with mentality, not with a person. And it's explained that we are Jivara Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. We are always the servant. So we would, and I mentioned even before today, that we should try to give them Krishna consciousness as far as we can. But sometimes some people are directly demoniac, and they're against anything, even against prasad. So it's instruction to serve them. To such people, we also should serve such people, but by avoiding them. Because if we don't avoid them, they will commit offenses against the Lord and against devotional service and against devotees. So, and this will be, of course, more detrimental for their life if they commit offenses. So we should try to associate, give association, as you said, to others, and not take association from them. But if it's not possible to give them any association, we just offer them respect from the distance.
Because this forms the gossip, in my opinion, if I may have an opinion about that. Like, it's thing of once you separate, because we are Advaita, so there's non-duality, it's dual but also one.
Yes.
Achinta, chinta, veda, veda, tatra.
Yes.
So there's, I feel like the moment we identify that, we're separating them. We need to see them as people, but then the activities are different.
Yes.
Because the person is not the activities. So even just looking at a worldly person, I feel like I still see Krishna. Because I still feel he's taken human form.
Yes, that's why it's important, this Jivadaya principle that is so emphasized in our Sampradaya, that we go out and give mercy, especially in the form of holy names and prasadam. Yes, so this is the purpose of our life, in devotional life. So everyone should have a mission in devotional life, mission to help others. Yes, somehow or other. Even a mother should have this mission, and of course her children should be devotees, and this is her mission, which is most important, one of the most important missions for her children to become devotees and to have a happy family life, for conducive for devotional service for everyone. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. Please accept.